Asad al-Megrahi, the man convicted of bombing Pan Am Flight 103 out of the skies over Lockerbie, returned to Libya a free man last week. The Scottish government released the terminally ill terrorist, saying the decision was based purely on compassionate grounds. But the United States believes that other motives were involved. Well, let's now cross to our Washington studio and Alyona Minkowski to find out more. Alyona, over to you.
Thanks, Alice. Well, that's right. This story could be based on a little more than just compassion. It could be based on some very lucrative financial deals that were cut between the Libyan government and British Prime Minister Gordon Brown, as well as some other high-level officials. It could also be an attempt by the British government to save face. Allegedly, some evidence was about to come out that would have proven that the Lockerbie bomber was innocent all along. So as the story gets more complicated, we really have to wonder how much of these allegations are true, or could they be coming out of some negative emotional response here in the U.S. too? Now, here to discuss it with me is RT contributor Wayne Madsen. Wayne, thanks for joining me today. So first, can you tell me, where does the evidence come from that would say that this was based on a financial deal?
Well, my sources that are very close to the British government are telling me that a year ago, negotiations began between Colonel Gaddafi's government and the British government to help bail out the largest Scottish banks, Halifax Bank of Scotland and the Royal Bank of Scotland, which assumed some toxic assets. They had loans that turned out to be very bad loans. The deal was, basically, to sum it up, bailout for Megrahi, the Libyan convicted accused bomber of the Pan Am 103. So 2 weeks prior to Megrahi's release, a meeting between Saif al-Gaddafi, Colonel Gaddafi's son, and Peter Mandelson, the British business secretary, in a Rothschild-owned estate on the island of Corfu. That's apparently where the deal was consummated. They decided to release Megrahi on compassionate grounds because he's said to be suffering from prostate cancer. Recent reports from Tripoli now are saying that maybe his cancer isn't that far advanced, that he has plans to write a tell-all book about his experiences.
Now, do we have any idea how much money we're actually talking about that it would cost to bail out these banks?
Well, we're talking about billions of dollars. These banks, very similar to the bailout of banks here in the United States. Basically, these banks were bailed out by British government funds, public funds, instead of private funds. And if this bailout had not occurred, the British government and the British taxpayers would have been left holding the bag, in addition to the Scottish government, which is now run by the Scottish National Party, that has intentions to declare independence eventually from Great Britain.
But is it only the banks, or is there someone else that stands to benefit and make a buck here?
Well, obviously, this is very lucrative for the Labour Party. They get out from under this bailout of these Scottish banks. But there's enough blame to go along. We see kind of an argument now, the Labour Party trying to score points against the Scottish National government that rules Scotland. However, I'm told that Alexander Salmond, the First Minister of Scotland with the Scottish National Party, is a very good friend of Gordon Brown. He used to be the person who worked for the Royal Bank of Scotland, one of the bailed out banks, and was in charge of negotiating the oil deals between the government of Britain and the North Sea oil companies that operate these oil rigs. So these two individuals are very, very much involved in this negotiation to cut this deal.
Well, thanks for joining us, Wayne, and we'll continue to cover this story as it continues to get more and more complicated, it seems. Back to you, Alice.
Alyona Minkowski and Wayne Madsen, thank you very much for those thoughts over there in Washington.